Picture this. It's a moonless night in 15th century Japan. A shadow moves across a castle rooftop. Not quite human, not quite ghost. In the morning, a powerful warlord is found dead in his supposedly impregnable fortress, and no one saw the killer enter or leave. This isn't a movie scene. This is the reality of the ninja Japan's most feared and misunderstood warriors. For centuries, we've been fed Hollywood fantasies of ninjas as superhuman assassins in black pajamas, throwing magic stars and disappearing in puffs of smoke. But the real story, it's far more fascinating, brutal, and complex than any movie could capture. These weren't just ancient assassins. They were masters of psychological warfare, espionage experts, and survival specialists who could blend into any crowd, infiltrate any stronghold, and manipulate the course of history from the shadows. What you think you know about ninjas is probably wrong. The truth is darker, more strategic, and infinitely more compelling than the legends. Before we dive into the real world of these shadow warriors, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this channel is dedicated to uncovering the truth behind history's greatest mysteries and legends. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories that shaped our world, you're in the right place. And here's what I want to know. What's the most ridiculous ninja myth you've seen in movies or video games? Drop your answer in the comments below. Guarantee some of you have seen ninjas do things that would make real historical ninjas roll in their graves. The most outrageous answer gets pinned also. Smash that like button if you're ready to discover how real ninjas were far more terrifying than any Hollywood version could ever be. Now, let's step into the shadows of feudal Japan and uncover the dark truth behind the ninja legend. To understand the birth of the ninja, we must first step into one of the most violent and chaotic periods in Japanese history, the Sengoku period, spanning from 1467 to 1615. This was an era when Japan was literally tearing itself apart, a time so brutal that it's often called the Age of Warring States. Picture a Japan completely unlike the unified nation we know today. Instead of one emperor ruling from a central throne, the country was fractured into dozens of independent territories, each controlled by ambitious warlords called daimyo. These weren't just regional governors, they were essentially kings of their own mini-kingdoms, each convinced they could conquer all of Japan and claim the ultimate prize. The shogunate, the central government, had completely collapsed. The Ashikaga shogunate, which had ruled Japan for over 2 centuries, was now nothing more than a powerless figurehead. Real power belonged to whoever could gather the largest army, forge the most cunning alliances, or eliminate their rivals most effectively. It was a period where betrayal was common, alliances shifted like sand, and today's ally could become tomorrow's executioner. But here's what made this period truly unique. Traditional warfare wasn't enough anymore. When every daimyo had access to samurai armies, when every castle was fortified to withstand siege, when every battle could drag on for months without a clear victor, something had to change. The old rules of honorable combat between samurai warriors became a luxury that few could afford. This is where the darker arts of warfare began to emerge. Espionage, assassination, sabotage, and psychological warfare became not just useful, they became essential for survival. A daimyo who refused to use these shadow tactics would soon find his enemies infiltrating his councils, poisoning his food, or burning his supply lines while he slept. The common people, farmers, merchants, craftsmen, themselves caught in this endless cycle of violence. Their crops were burned, their villages raided, their sons conscripted into armies that might never return. For many, survival meant learning new skills, how to gather intelligence, how to move unseen, how to strike without warning. It was from this crucible of chaos, desperation, and innovation that the ninja emerged, not noble warriors following ancient codes, but survivors adapting to a world where honor was a luxury and victory belonged to those willing to fight in the shadows. Deep in the mountainous heart of Japan, two provinces would become legendary as the birthplace of the ninja, Iga and Koga. But why these remote regions? The answer lies in geography, politics, and pure survival necessity. Both Iga and Koga were strategically positioned, yet politically isolated. Nestled between more powerful domains, they served as natural buffers between warring territories. This unique position made them simultaneously valuable and vulnerably. Everyone wanted to control these mountain passes, but no single daimyo could claim them permanently. The terrain itself shaped the ninja mindset. Dense forests, hidden valleys, and treacherous mountain paths created natural training grounds for stealth and survival. Local inhabitants weren't pampered court nobles, they were hardy mountain folk, who understood that survival meant adaptability, resourcefulness, and the ability to vanish when necessary. What made these regions truly special was their social structure. Unlike most of feudal Japan, where rigid class systems dominated, Iga and Koga developed more flexible hierarchies. Farmers doubled as part-time soldiers, merchants gathered intelligence during their travels, and even Buddhist monks became involved in covert operations. This wasn't just a military organization, it was an entire society built around information gathering and unconventional warfare. The famous ninja clans, the Hattori, Fujibayashi, and Momochi families, didn't emerge from noble samurai lineages. They were local power brokers who understood that in their precarious position, traditional military might wasn't enough. They needed to be smarter, more adaptable, and infinitely more creative than their enemies. These clans developed what would become the foundation of ninjutsu, a comprehensive system combining martial arts, espionage techniques, survival skills, and psychological warfare. But unlike the rigid training of samurai schools, ninja training was intensely practical. Students learned to fight, but also to blend in as merchants, farmers, or traveling monks. They mastered weapons, but also eavesdropping and code breaking. The mountain villages became laboratories of unconventional warfare. Children grew up learning not just how to fight, but how to gather intelligence, how to create and use improvised weapons, and most importantly, how to survive when outnumbered and outgunned. By the late 15th century, Iga and Koga had transformed from simple mountain provinces into something unprecedented in Japanese history. Entire regions where the population was trained in the arts of shadow warfare. When desperate daimyo needed intelligence, sabotage, or elimination services, they knew exactly where to turn. Forget everything you've seen in movies about ninja training. Real ninjutsu wasn't about supernatural abilities or mystical powers. It was a comprehensive survival system designed to turn ordinary people into extraordinary infiltrators and intelligence gatherers. The training began in childhood, but not with sword fighting or throwing stars. Young ninja candidates first learned the most crucial skill of all: how to become invisible in plain sight. This meant mastering the art of disguise, studying human psychology, and learning to mimic the mannerisms and speech patterns of different social classes. A ninja might spend months perfecting the walk of a merchant, the bow of a servant, or the confident stride of a low-ranking samurai. Physical training focused on practical skills rather than flashy techniques. Climbing was essential, not just walls and trees, but any surface that offered concealment or escape routes. Swimming included underwater breathing techniques for crossing moats or hiding in waterways. Running emphasized endurance and stealth over speed, with special techniques for moving silently across. Different terrain types, the famous weapons of ninjutsu, tell the real story of ninja pragmatism. The katana was expensive and marked you as a warrior ninja, preferred shorter, more concealable blades. Shuriken weren't primarily killing weapons, but distractions and tools for creating diversions. The kusarigama combined a farming tool with a weapon, allowing ninja to appear as harmless farmers while carrying deadly implements. But the most sophisticated training involves psychological warfare and espionage. Ninja learned to read micro-expressions, to manipulate conversations toward revealing sensitive information, and to plant false intelligence that would spread through enemy networks. They studied architecture to identify weak points in fortifications, learned basic medicine to treat wounds or create poisons, and even practiced voice mimicry to impersonate guards or officials. Memory training was crucial, since writing down intelligence was dangerous. Ninja developed mnemonic techniques to remember vast amounts of detailed information, troop movements, supply routes, political alliances, personal secrets of enemy leaders. They could observe a castle for days, memorizing guard rotations, studying daily routines, and identifying every possible entry and escape route. Perhaps most importantly, ninja trained to think differently than samurai. Where samurai valued honor and direct confrontation, ninja learned to prize effectiveness and survival. They studied their enemies' psychological weaknesses, learning that fear and uncertainty could be more powerful than any weapon. A ninja's greatest victory wasn't killing an enemy, it was making the enemy so paranoid and uncertain that they made fatal mistakes. The relationship between ninja and samurai represents one of history's most misunderstood conflicts. Hollywood portrays them as ancient enemies, but the reality was far more complex. Samurai occupied the top of Japan's rigid social hierarchy. They were hereditary warriors, bound by complex codes of honor, serving their daimyo lords in exchange for land and status. Their entire identity revolved around concepts like Bushido, the way of the warrior, which emphasized courage, loyalty, honor, and ritual suicide rather than defeat or dishonor. Ninja, by contrast, emerged from society's margins. Many were farmers, merchants, or low-ranking retainers who developed specialized skills out of necessity rather than birthright. They had no inherited status to protect, no ancestral honor to uphold, and no rigid codes limiting their methods. This fundamental difference in social position shaped everything about how they approached warfare. The tactical differences were stark. Samurai fought in the open, announcing their presence, challenging opponents to single combat, and seeking glorious death if victory proved impossible. Their armor was designed to be seen elaborate, colorful, decorated with family crests that proclaimed their identity to friend and foe alike. Ninja operated from completely opposite principles. Success meant remaining undetected. The ideal ninja mission ended with the target eliminated and no one knowing how, when, or by whom. Their clothing was practical rather than ceremonial, dark colors that blended with shadows, flexible materials that didn't restrict movement, and gear designed for concealment rather than display. But here's the crucial truth that movies get wrong. Ninja and samurai weren't natural enemies, locked in eternal conflict. They served complementary functions in Japan's military ecosystem. Smart daimyo employed both samurai for open warfare and political legitimacy, ninja for intelligence gathering and covert operations. Many samurai lords secretly employed ninja, while publicly maintaining the fiction that they only used honorable methods. The famous Tokugawa shogunate, which eventually unified Japan, made extensive use of ninja networks while officially promoting samurai values. It was the ultimate hypocrisy, condemning dishonorable tactics while relying on them for survival. The most successful ninja actually understood samurai psychology intimately. They knew that samurai pride and honor codes created predictable blind spots. A samurai might ignore a lowly farmer or merchant, never suspecting that this humble person was actually gathering intelligence or preparing an assassination. Samurai, adherence to rigid protocols, made them surprisingly vulnerable to unconventional attacks. This psychological warfare extended beyond the battlefield. Ninja understood that terrorizing enemy samurai with uncertainty and paranoia could be more effective than direct confrontation. A samurai who feared poison in every meal or assassination in every shadow was already defeated, even if he never faced a ninja in actual combat. The most extraordinary ninja operations weren't the supernatural feats of legend, but meticulously planned missions that changed the course of Japanese history. These documented cases reveal the true scope of ninja capabilities and their impact on feudal Japan's political landscape. The infiltration of Sawayama Castle in 1600 demonstrates ninja espionage at its finest. Before the crucial Battle of Sekigahara, Tokugawa Ieyasu needed intelligence about his rival's defenses. A team of Aiga ninja spent weeks infiltrating the castle, not through dramatic rooftop assaults, but by taking jobs as servants, craftsmen, and guards. They mapped every corridor, identified key personnel, and discovered that the castle's water supply could be poisoned. Information that proved crucial when the siege began. Perhaps the most audacious operation occurred in 1562, when Tokugawa Ieyasu found himself trapped in Kaminogo Castle, surrounded by enemy forces. Hattori Hanzo, the most famous ninja leader in history, orchestrated a rescue that bordered on the impossible. Rather than fighting through enemy lines, Hanzo's team created multiple diversions throughout the region, making it appear that Tokugawa forces were attacking from several directions simultaneously, while confused enemies rushed to defend against phantom attacks. Hanzo guided Tokugawa through mountain paths known only to local ninja, eventually reaching safety. The assassination of Uesugi Kenshin in 1578 remains controversial, but historical evidence suggests ninja involvement. Kenshin, one of Japan's most powerful daimyo, died suddenly during what appeared to be a routine visit to his privy. The official cause was listed as natural causes, but the circumstances were suspicious. A skilled ninja could have hidden in the castle's waste systems for days, waiting for the perfect moment to strike with a concealed blade before disappearing back into the sewers. Economic warfare represented another ninja specialty often overlooked by popular culture. In 1573, ninja teams systematically destroyed supply lines supporting Takeda Shingen's army, not through dramatic battles but through coordinated sabotage. They poisoned water sources, burned supply depots, and spread false information about troop movements. The psychological impact was devastating. Takeda's forces became convinced they were surrounded by invisible enemies. The intelligence network that supported Oda Nobunaga's campaigns reveals ninja organization at its most sophisticated. Teams of ninja, disguised as merchants and traveling entertainers, established communication networks across central Japan. They could relay detailed intelligence across hundreds of miles within days, giving Nobunaga crucial advantages in timing his military campaigns. What made these operations successful wasn't supernatural ability, but meticulous planning, psychological insight, and perfect understanding of human nature. Real ninja missions succeeded because they exploited the predictable blind spots of their targets, the samurai's devotion to honor, the merchant's greed, the servant's invisibility in noble households. June 21st, 1582. Honoji Temple in Kyoto. The most powerful man in Japan lies dead. His body never found, his death shrouded in mystery that persists over 400 years later. The official story claims that Oda Nobunaga died by suicide during a surprise attack by his retainer, Akechi Mitsuhide. But was this really a spontaneous betrayal, or the culmination of the most sophisticated ninja operation in Japanese history? Nobunaga had made countless enemies during his brutal rise to power. He'd burned Buddhist monasteries, slaughtered entire populations, and shown unprecedented disrespect for traditional Japanese institutions. More importantly, he'd systematically dismantled the power structures that allowed ninja to operate, destroying the independence of Iga province in 1581 and scattering ninja clans that had operated freely for generations. The attack on Honoji Temple bears all the hallmarks of a ninja operation disguised as a samurai revolt. Consider the timing. Nobunaga was traveling with minimal protection, staying in a Buddhist temple rather than a fortified castle. His main armies were deployed elsewhere, fighting campaigns hundreds of miles away. Someone with detailed intelligence about his movements and schedule orchestrated this vulnerability. Akechi Mitsuhide's sudden betrayal has never been adequately explained by historians. This was a man who owed everything to Nobunaga, who had been trusted with important commands and territories. What could drive such a dramatic reversal? Some evidence suggests that Akechi had been approached by surviving members of the Iga ninja clans, who offered him information and support in exchange for revenge against their destroyer. The attack itself was well coordinated for a spontaneous betrayal. Mitsuhide's forces surrounded the temple with precision timing, cutting off all escape routes simultaneously. They seemed to know exactly which rooms Nobunaga would occupy, which corridors he might use to flee, and how to counter his bodyguards most effectively. This level of detailed intelligence suggests months of preparation and infiltration. Most intriguingly, Nobunaga's body was never recovered from the burning temple. Official accounts claim he committed seppuku, and his remains were consumed by flames. But no bones, armor, or personal effects were ever found. Did he actually die at Honoji? Or was this an elaborate deception allowing his extraction by ninja operatives who had infiltrated the temple staff? The broader political consequences support the ninja conspiracy theory. Nobunaga's death prevented the complete unification of Japan under a leader who would have eliminated ninja operations entirely. His successors, while powerful, proved more willing to tolerate and even employ ninja services. The surviving Iga and Koga clans gradually rebuilt their networks, eventually serving the Tokugawa shogunate that would rule Japan for over 250 years, whether through assassination, rescue, or manipulation of political events. The death of Oda Nobunaga represents either the ultimate ninja success or the most perfectly executed deception in Japanese history. Ironically, the ninja's greatest enemy wasn't a rival clan or superior military technology, it was peace itself. When Tokugawa Ieyasu finally unified Japan in 1603, Establishing the Edo period that would last over 250 years, he inadvertently began the extinction of the ninja as a military force. The Tokugawa solution was brilliantly simple. Eliminate the conditions that created the need for ninja in the first place. The new shogunate established the Sankan Keitai system, requiring all daimyo to spend alternate years in Edo, modern Tokyo, under the shogun's direct supervision. Their families remained as permanent hostages, ensuring loyalty through family bonds. Rather than military threat, this system made traditional ninja operations obsolete. Why infiltrate an enemy castle to gather intelligence when all the important decisions were being made in one city under central government oversight? Why assassinate rival daimyo when rebellion meant the certain death of their wives and children? The political fragmentation that had made ninja essential was systematically eliminated. The rigid social hierarchy of the Edo period posed another challenge. The famous four classes, system samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants. Social mobility nearly impossible. Ninja had traditionally operated by moving between social classes, assuming different identities as needed. Under Tokugawa rule, such flexibility became not just difficult, but illegal. Travel required official permits, occupations were hereditary, and suspicious behavior attracted immediate government attention. Economic changes proved equally destructive to ninja networks. The long peace brought prosperity, but it also brought systematic record-keeping and bureaucratic oversight. The informal networks of merchants, farmers, and traveling entertainers that had provided ninja cover were gradually replaced by official guilds and licensed organizations. Operating outside these systems became increasingly dangerous and difficult. Some ninja adapted by joining the Tokugawa administration directly. The famous unawaban, or garden keepers, were essentially the shogun's secret police former ninja, retrained as domestic intelligence agents. They monitored potential threats within Japan rather than conducting operations against external enemies. It was steady employment, but it wasn't the independent, clan-based existence that had defined ninja culture. Others attempted to preserve ninja traditions through martial arts schools, teaching watered-down versions of ninjutsu as self-defense. Systems. These schools emphasized physical techniques while abandoning the espionage, assassination, and psychological warfare elements that had made ninja truly formidable. Ninjutsu became a curiosity rather than a military necessity. The final blow came with the Meiji Restoration of 1868. Japan's rapid modernization made feudal-era stealth techniques irrelevant. Why sneak into a castle when telegraphs could transmit intelligence instantly? Why use traditional weapons when modern firearms offered superior lethality? The new Japanese military adopted Western-style intelligence services, making ninja skills obsolete by the late 19th century. The ninja had effectively vanished from Japanese society, not destroyed by enemies, but simply rendered unnecessary by progress and peace. The ninja's journey from historical reality to global pop culture phenomenon is one of the most dramatic reinventions in entertainment history. How did these medieval intelligence operatives become the black-clad superheroes that dominate movies, video games, and comic books today? The transformation began during the Edo period itself, when peace made real ninja operations impossible but created a market for ninja entertainment. Kabuki theater and popular literature began featuring ninja as mysterious, supernatural figures, capable of incredible feats. These early fictional portrayals emphasized the exotic and mysterious aspects of ninja, while downplaying the mundane realities of espionage and assassination. The crucial shift occurred in early 20th century Japan, when Pulp Fiction writers began creating serialized ninja stories for mass audiences. Authors like Futaro Yamada reimagined ninja as fantasy heroes with magical abilities, introducing elements that had no basis in historical reality: supernatural speed, the ability to become invisible, and mystical martial arts techniques that could defeat entire armies. World War II propaganda further mythologized ninja, presenting them as examples of Japanese spiritual superiority and unique warrior culture. The government promoted ninja legends as evidence that Japan possessed ancient secrets that Western military science couldn't match. This nationalistic spin added another layer of mysticism to ninja lore. The real explosion came with post-war Japanese cinema. Directors like Akira Kurosawa initially portrayed ninja more realistically in films like The Hidden Fortress, but audiences preferred more fantastical interpretations. The 1960s brought a wave of ninja films featuring increasingly outrageous abilities and weapons, establishing visual tropes that persist today. The all-black outfit, throwing stars as primary weapons, and smoke bombs for dramatic exits. When these films reached Western audiences in the 1970s and 80s, something extraordinary happened. Western filmmakers, lacking deep knowledge of Japanese history, felt free to add their own creative interpretations. American ninja films introduced elements that would have baffled historical ninja: elaborate martial arts tournaments, honor codes borrowed from samurai culture, and technology that bordered on science fiction. The 1990s brought ninja into video game culture, where interactive entertainment demanded even more spectacular abilities. Games like Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi transformed ninja into acrobatic superheroes capable of running up walls, defeating supernatural enemies, and wielding magical weapons. Each new game pushed the boundaries further from historical reality. Modern ninja entertainment has created a completely separate mythology. Today's ninja bear virtually no resemblance to their historical predecessors beyond basic visual elements. They've become vehicles for exploring themes of honor, revenge, and superhuman achievement that appeal to global audiences, but have nothing to do with the pragmatic intelligence operatives of feudal Japan. The irony is complete. The real ninja succeeded by avoiding attention and remaining invisible, while their fictional descendants have become some of the most visible and recognizable figures in global popular culture.